People who regularly suppress their emotions don't experience fewer negative emotions. They experience more. The suppression doesn't delete the emotion, it actually exaggerates it internally while masking it externally. There's an unspoken rule that most of us continue to live by day. Keep it together, push through, don't make a big deal of it. And for a while, you can, you do. You get good at it. But at some point, and most of us know exactly what this feels like, not coping stops being a choice and starts being something that just happens. You snap at someone you love, you cry unexplainably in the car on the way home after work, you lie awake at 3:20 a.m. exhausted but worried to go back to sleep just in case you oversleep when the alarm goes off. But nobody tells you what this means. Nobody tells you what's actually going on when your ability to cope just runs out. And that's what this video is about, because here's what I want you to understand by the end of it. Not coping isn't the actual problem, it's a signal. And once you know how to read it and what to do with it, everything changes, my friend. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Nick. I'm a therapist, coach, supervisor, and trainer. And I've spent the last 2 decades or so helping overwhelmed professionals and leaders move from surviving their stress to actually understanding it. And in every video on this channel, it's my intention to give you ideas to help you manage your emotions, because I know that managing your emotions will inevitably improve your life. And if you want to get started, I have a free stress relief cheat sheet linked in the description. It's a 5-step guide to help you manage stress better. It's worth grabbing before you forget. Now let's get into the video. So let's start with something uncomfortable. The pressure to always cope isn't coming from nowhere. It's been built into almost every system around you: work, school, family, culture. You and I were praised for being resilient and rewarded for pushing through, and somewhere along the line we learned that falling apart or failing even momentarily meant that something was wrong with us, that we were flawed. And it's that belief, my friend, that continues to cause damage. Now here's the thing about coping: it's not a personality trait, it's a resource. And as you and I know, resources run out. So think of it like a phone battery where you start the day at 100%. Every stressor, every demand, every moment you hold something in drains a little bit of the charge. And if you never plug it in, the screen eventually goes dark. And that's not a weakness issue, that's not a flaw issue, that's a issue of physics. But most of us weren't taught that. It's not what we saw modeled by those around us. We were taught that the goal is to have a phone that never needs to be charged. What we saw modeled was, I'll sleep when I'm dead. And as a result, you may have been running on a battery in the red zone for years. So where does that leave you? What's actually happening inside you when you keep pushing through, when you keep suppressing what you're feeling just to simply function? The research on this is worth understanding, because once you understand it, it will significantly change how you see the whole thing. Psychologists have a name for what happens when you consistently suppress emotions rather than process it. It's called emotional suppression, and the research on it is really informative. You see, people who regularly suppress their emotions don't experience fewer negative emotions, they experience more. The suppression doesn't delete the emotion, it actually exaggerates it internally while masking it externally. And physically, chronic emotional suppression has been linked to elevated cortisol, disrupted sleep, and in some long-term studies, a measurably higher risk of cardiovascular problems. Your body keeps score, made popular by Bessel van der Kolk, has become a cliche, but the physiology behind it hasn't. Your body does communicate. So when you can't cope and you finally crash, it's not that your body's betraying you, it's just that your body's been trying to tell you something for so long, and that it's finally speaking loud enough to get your attention. If this is resonating with you, I think you'll get real value from my stress relief cheat sheet. It's a 5-step guide to help you manage stress better. Link is in the description below. Grab it and keep watching. Which brings me to the moment itself. You see, most people I've spoken to describe the moment the same way. It's not dramatic. It's not a breakdown in a boardroom meeting. It's usually something small: a song on the radio, a question someone asks, a video you watch, or another piece of unexpected bad news. Nothing major actually happens, but you find you just can't go on. You crash. And the first feeling is almost always one of shame. Why am I like this? Why can't I handle this? Everyone else seems fine. But here's what that moment actually is. It's your nervous system telling you that the gap between what you're feeling and what you're allowing yourself to feel has become unsustainable. Now, if you take one thing from this video, let it be this: that moment isn't a sign that you're broken or flawed. It's a sign that you're human and that something needs to change. So the question is, what do you actually do with it? Because awareness on its own isn't enough. You need something practical to reach for. So here are 3 things that will genuinely help. The first one is to name it. don't perform it. The instinct when you can't cope is to either hide it completely or express it in a way that feels socially acceptable. A vague, "I'm just tired," or a brief "cry then pull yourself together." Those won't cut it. What actually helps is naming the specific emotion, not saying "I'm stressed," because stressed is just a category. What you need to consider is what's inside the category. Are you overwhelmed? Are you angry? Are you resentful? Are you scared? Are you ashamed? Are you lonely? Research from UCLA found that naming an emotion, what they call affect labeling, measurably reduces its intensity. They found that naming your emotion activates the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decision making, moderating social behavior, and planning. They also found that it quietens the amygdala, or the lizard brain, the part of your brain responsible for processing emotion and detecting danger and threat. So when naming your emotions, you're not just being self-aware, you're changing your brain chemistry. Now, once you've named it, the next step is equally counterintuitive, and it's always the one that most leaders and high achievers I work with find the most difficult. The second thing you can do to initiate change is to lower the bar intentionally, even temporarily. One of the things that keeps people stuck in overwhelm is an all or nothing standard. It's the belief that they're either fully functioning or fully failing. The research on recovery from burnout, physical illness, and emotional overwhelm consistently shows that partial restoration beats no restoration at all. You don't have to fix everything today. You just need to do one thing that costs you less than what it gives back. A 10-minute walk, a conversation with someone you trust, 7 or 8 hours instead of just 6. Small inputs compounding over time lead to improved well-being and performance. But lowering the bar only works if you've also shifted what you think coping should look like, which leads us nicely on to the third thing, which is redefining what coping actually means. You see, most people think coping means managing, staying functional, keeping the machine running, and not letting it show. But the research definition is completely different. Healthy coping is any strategy that reduces distress without causing long-term harm. Now that includes rest, that includes saying no, that includes asking for help, that even includes feeling awful and admitting it. Not coping in the old way is often the first step towards coping in a way that actually works. So here's something worth sitting with. The people who seem like they're always coping, unshakable, on top of things, a lot of them are just really good performers, which is one of the reasons why comparison is a dangerously unhelpful game to play, because unless someone tells you, you don't really know their reality at all. You see, the people who learn to read their own signals, to lower the bar when needed, and to treat not coping as information and data rather than failure, they tend to recover faster. And here's something else to think about. Not coping isn't the end of something. For many people, it's the beginning. I've spoken with loads of people who started building something meaningful after they crashed. Why? Because they saw their crash as an opportunity for learning and change. One thing before we close, and this matters. If you've been in the overwhelm cycle for a long time, be careful of this, that the relief you feel when you finally stop performing can trick you into thinking you've solved it. You haven't. You've just found the starting line. The work ahead of you is to develop a strong relationship with your own emotional state that doesn't demand that you override it simply to function. Now that takes time, and sometimes it takes support, and there's no version of this video where I'd suggest that asking for help is anything other than the right call. So let me leave you with one specific thing that you can do today, not next week, today. I want to invite you to write down one emotion that you've been suppressing, just one, and I want you to give it a real name. Not stressed, not fine, they're not specific enough. A specific name. Then I want you to ask yourself one question. What would it mean if I took this emotion seriously? You don't have to answer it yet, but naming it and writing it down, that's affect labeling in practice, and that's where the work starts. The pressure to always cope is real, but it's not a standard worth holding yourself to any longer. Not coping doesn't mean that you're failing or a failure. It simply means you're getting valuable information and data, and now you know what to do with it. So what's one small change that you could make today to take some of that pressure off yourself? I'd genuinely love to know, so drop it in the comments. And if today's video resonated, here's your next step. Download the free stress relief cheat sheet using the link below. It's a 5-step guide to help you manage stress better, and it's a good place to start putting this stuff into practice. If you're thinking about what deeper work could look like, I do one-to-ones with people as well. There's details below, no pressure, just there when the time is right. I'll see you in the next one. Rooting for you. be well. It's not the volume of stress that breaks people, it's the absence of structured recovery. So the problem for most high achievers isn't that they're pushing hard, it's that they've developed their thinking and their lifestyle for output and left no space for recovery.